Hello again, this is LS4LIFE. Let me get some light on here. Okay, so let's do this video. This video is intended to show people how you install and remove the controller from this particular fishing rod, which was designed based on how the game BR fishing, real BR fishing works. Now, there's a chance that this fishing rod can be used with other BR fishing games or other, but at the moment, for sure, the one game that I know it works with is real BR fishing, since it's the one that I currently use. Let me just show you here from the side. This is the half cup for the left hand controller. In this case, this is the right hand controller. This is the reeling arm, and the reason why you use a half cup is because you need to release your hand with the controller in your hand to do other things that are part of the game, and therefore you cannot have a fixed controller in the arm. This particular fishing rod was designed so that you have this particular button here or arm, so that the trigger button here is pressed. Now, in order to press the trigger button, you push to the side, and that's how the button is pressed. Here from the side, you can see how the arm goes on top of the trigger button. Furthermore, here is the clip that keeps the controller in place from coming out of the adapter. This part here is an arm that connects here at the place where the battery cover connects. This is for pretty much adding more security. And now let's take the controller apart. To take the controller apart, the very first thing that you want to do is to make sure that the arm is pushed below the button. Another thing to keep in mind is that you need to remove the clip from here in order to remove the adapter. So in order to remove the clip, just push on the bottom. It will rotate up, and then you can just kind of move it out. The clip has a rubber band which is attached to the housing here, so that you have less of a chance to drop it and lose it. So all you have to do is move it away so that you can have freedom to push the controller forward. To push the controller forward, in this case, you need to release the battery cover button, press it. You have to press it, but at the same time, you have to press the trigger button so that you can move this particular arm below the button. The way to accomplish this is that you need this finger to hold the housing on this end by just pressing down on the side button to create room to put your finger here, like this. Then with the thumb, you will push on the back of the controller. While you have your thumb here and this finger here in this position, now you will take this thumb and press the release button for the battery cover, and at the same time push down on the trigger. So this is your hand position to remove it, and at that time you just push forward. And the controller is out. In order to put the controller back in here, if you haven't done it yet, obviously remove the battery cover, insert your battery. Pay attention that this clip is outside and not inside the housing, so move it away. Another thing to pay attention and to make sure is that if the controller is not here and this connection is slightly loose, because it will get loose when the controller is not in place. It may be out of position this way. So you have to make sure that you bring this back in position. It's very simple. We have a lot of movement. You just gotta bring it down and bring this section here around this part of the adapter by just lifting it, bringing it up, and just pushing it in place like this. Now once it's in place this way and the clip that's hanging over here is out of the way, like to the side like this, you can take your controller and slide it into the housing in this orientation. Okay? Make sure that this little edge over here, the edge that's here, is behind the block that inside the housing. So again, push this arm down and in place. Have this clip outside of the housing so it's not in the way. Insert your controller. Now press the trigger button slightly so the arm can go over. Now at this point, you see the arm here is far away from the button over here, right? Just press a little bit on the arm here to keep it in the proper angle, and then just push down. Once you push down, you're gonna see that there is very little room between this arm and the button to release the battery. Another thing that you will notice is that there is very little room in the back end here. Plus, now you will need to insert the clip on this edge over here by putting this slot that you see here on the edge like this, like so right here, and pushing this part of the clip upwards. To do that, you put your finger on this part of the housing, and then you will press on this little part of the clip that's sticking out, and you push in. As you push in, you can see that this clip will fall in place, looking this as it is there now. And now you are done. Now you can press to the side here and see that the button is being pressed properly. However, if you find that this is putting too much pressure on the button here, is because this screw needs to be loosened up a little bit more. You can loosen it up. You can take it all the way out and remove the arm, but you don't want to do that. Even as well as we speak, even if the control doesn't have the arm, you can still use this, but this time you have to use your finger to press the trigger and toss the line out, and then move your hand back to continue using the game, or playing with the game as properly or as it's supposed to do. The idea is to use this arm so that you don't have to put your hand over here and then move it back over here. So make sure that this section of the arm goes between here like this. Now make sure that once you're in here, see this part over here has a little insertion for the screw. Grab your screw, put it through the opening, screw it back in place. Now make sure it's not too tight, because if it is too tight, it's gonna put too much pressure here on the button. It's not gonna release the button all the way up. So you have to loosen it up enough so that this motion can be performed, which is pushing to the side, and that the button here can release all the way up. So if you just are testing and you see, okay, I don't have enough freedom of the trigger button, is because this screw is too tight. So you have to loosen it up a little bit more until you can see that there is no pressure on this trigger button as you release the arm. Okay, so you can loosen it up as much as you need and test it out. You can also see that you have just enough pressure, because when you can look at the button move up and down, it doesn't have any, it's not touching the button, or it's not putting any pressure to the point where the release button is slightly pressed. And you can see that the screw is in place, so you can do the performance of the side movement that allow for the side button to be pressed. So this is all. This is how you install and remove the Quest 2, the Quest 3 and Quest 3S inside this particular fishing rod adapter. This fishing rod was created by obviously myself, LS4LIFE, and with the intention to give a more immersive experience when you're using a fishing game. There is a chance that this fishing rod can be used with other fishing game. However, this fishing rod was designed to work with real VR fishing, which is the game that I actually use. If you have any question, please reach out to me through Discord, YouTube, the Etsy store, and email. All that information can be obviously found if you go to my YouTube page, if you go to my Etsy store, or if you need to send me a private message through Discord. Thank you for watching this video. LS4LIFE out.